nice romance too. Far from home, all I got is you.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Porch Talk presents Sportsch Talk. I am joined, as always, by my weekly co-host of Sportsch Talk, Marcus. How you doing, Marcus?
I'm good. Gentlemen, a nice toast to you all with this good, sweet Confederate champagne. That sweet sauce of the Dixie, I'm talking about Coca-Cola.
Nice. And as longtime listeners of the show know, myself and Marcus have been, previewing and reviewing every week of the NFL football season. But with the playoffs being at our doorstep, I figured it was time to reach back into my weekly Porch's co-host, and that is Brett. How you doing, Brett?
Gentlemen, I am ready for these playoffs. I don't have a Coca-Cola, but I do have some great punch. Thank you, Minute Maid. I'm ready to rock.
Nice. I'm cheersing with water, and I heard that's bad luck. So we'll see. We'll see what doom is in. Yeah, what doom is in store for me. But, gentlemen, I know this isn't on the plans, but this is a rare opportunity for us to scoop and boop on the whole Stephanie McMahon thing. I mean, let's grasp this brass ring while we can.
Well, it came across on Bleacher Report, so it's technically sports, right?
Yeah. I think I saw a Sports Illustrated retweet, so it counts.
Yeah. I just, wow. I look at it as, hey, everybody, get out while you can, because this is not good.
Marcus, any take on that?
The old man's back in power. He's going to sell to the Saudi contingent. The company's going to go private. He's going to run it until the day he dies, and that's all there is to it. Hopefully the wrestlers get paid like actual athletes.
Yeah. Now, you guys said on Final Wrestling Place, when you were kind of doing the rundown of who you would like to see buy the company, and I think it was you who said that the one that you would least want to see purchase the WWE would be Disney. Mm-hmm. And in my mind, and I could be completely wrong on this, I feel like Disney doesn't miss. I feel like, what they've done with Marvel and what they've done with Star Wars, I personally wouldn't mind going to the WWE section of Disney World on one summer vacation. I don't know. I think that's not as scary of an option as what you painted it to be.
I just have no faith and confidence, especially with Iger going back in there. I don't think he wants to be there for a super long time. So, who knows who the next Disney CEO is going to be? And all it takes is another, change in power at the top of one of these big companies. And just like what happened with WCW wrestling, out goes WWE. And I just think Disney is, I think they're focused on quick returns. And I think they were able to make Marvel and Star Wars very quick returns on investments. I don't think wrestling's has never been an immediate return on investment.
Yeah. I guess I just want to see Alexa Bliss become a Disney princess. I think that's my own personal goal.
Half of the roster would be very Disney-fied. There'd be a lot of Disney adults.
They do have websites for that, Adam.
They do?
I'm sure they do.
Send me some links. We're done with this.
Sure.
The Wi-Fi is a little sketchy out here on the porch. Might have to.
All right, gentlemen, what we're here for, as I said at the top of the show, we are about to start the postseason of the NFL. And I feel like it is time for each of us to take our victory laps. Obviously, Marcus, you are a Chiefs fan. Brett, this is your once a decade that the Eagles are good. And
whoa.
Obviously, I'm a Steelers fan, so I'll start with you, Brett. Brett, I'll start with you. Go ahead and tell us all
once
about
a decade. Hold on.
Yeah.
I got to spit some truth at you real quick. Once a decade, in the last 15 years, we've won, I think, 11 division titles or something crazy like that.
That's because everybody else in your division stinks. If I had the freaking Cowboys and the Giants and the bleeps in my division, the Steelers would never leave. They'd be like the Patriots of the 2000s. They would just have banners for days. There's actually good teams in my division. But go ahead.
But I thought I thought Dallas is going to win the Super Bowl every year, according to everyone on Earth.
That's just ESPN. But
No,
anyway,
you're not
Brett,
wrong.
tell us about the
Yeah, I'll tell. Great year. I cannot complain about much. Jalen Hurts, he delivered for sure. At the beginning of the year, when they made that trade with the Saints to get that extra first round pick, that was kind of all right, Jalen, here's what we're surrounding you with everyone now. You got to put up or shut up because we got a first round pick. We had 2 first round picks this upcoming draft now. And it was, it's a quarterback heavy draft coming up. So I think that was the message of, all right, you have no excuse. You have Dallas Goedert, who's a top 5 tight end in the league. AJ Brown, oh my goodness, that is quite the steal in recent times, I'd say, from the Titans. What are the Titans thinking? I have no idea. Devontae Smith, year 2 Heisman winner, exploded this year. I think he was top 8 in the league in receiving yards. Philly, for the first time, I think maybe ever, had 2 1,000-yard receivers. Miles Sanders, he kind of exploded this year too, which is great. About 1,400 yards rushing. I don't know. I've looked too far in the future, but the defense is like the big bright spot. I think 70 sacks this year. Huge. Defensive line was just dominant. Slay is great. Gardner Johnson, I think, led the league in picks. They made all the right moves, I feel, this year. NFC East, I know we joke about it, but they were a great division this year. No team had a losing record, which is like insane to think about. So yeah, I'm more than satisfied. At the beginning of the year for Philly, I was very nervous because, like you pointed out, all the analysts were very high on Philly. I remember Colin Cowherd being like, "Oh, they're built to win and they're going to go far." And me, as the typical Eagles fan, was like, "Nope, not going to happen. They're going to go 4-12 and it's just going to fall apart and this sucks." But no, regular season's over. I thought you had a fantastic year. Very little to complain about.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are under the impression that if you're in Pennsylvania and you're a fan of like one team, you hate the other team. I've never had a beef with Eagles fans or Eagles. So when they do have success like this year, like I'm rooting for them. I hate the Cowboys. They're on the short list of teams that I would love to see go winless. So any year that the Giants do well or the Eagles do well, I'm happy. And Giants did okay, but I think that if Hurts stays healthy, I hope he does. They're a very dangerous team in the playoffs and they're in the future. But Marcus, anything to add about the Eagles?
I'm really excited. As a local, still on the outskirts of Philly by a good hour and a half, I still get a lot of Eagle stuff my way. I get stuff from the Ravens. I get Steelers stuff. So like I'm kind of in like a hub of, and like Brett, you could probably relate as well, as like just a lot of you get a lot of the a lot of the news from all the different teams. So being able to keep an eye on the Eagles ever since they drafted Jalen Hurts, I loved the draft pick originally. I always thought that he could break out. He has taken a true Josh Allen leap, but it didn't take him as long to figure it out. And he's not getting the credit that Allen did. I mean, besides Allen, this kind of jump from year to year is unprecedented. So it's amazing to see. I'm glad that the Eagles have their franchise quarterback. The A.J. Brown trade and immediate extension, such a no-brainer to cough up the one pick pretty much. And then the deal, he's still going to be in his prime when the deal runs out. He's super young. So just like the front office has been killing it for the Eagles. I still have my questions about the coaching staff. I know they're really good, but towards the end of the season, it looked like they may have ran through all of their material. And that's my one hang up for the Eagles in the postseason. Good thing you guys have this extra bye week. Hopefully it buys you some additional time, because I don't know if you guys have the material as far as play calling and the coordinating goes to make a deep playoff run. But I'm hoping for the best. I still have my ticket from August 24th, Eagles plus 2,500 to win the Super Bowl. Holding on to that bad boy. So hoping for the best. If it's not my Chiefs, I'm definitely pulling for the Eagles.
Excellent. Yeah, like I will get into our predictions later, and obviously I feel like both of you guys will be very biased in who you see come out of the respective conferences. I will act as more of a tiebreaker on that, I think. But Marcus, obviously you are the resident Chiefs fan. What do you have to say about your boys in red-ish? Red? What kind of? I guess it's red.
Red.
Oh, it's red.
Look, the Arrowhead Invitational is back on, baby. Sorry about the way it happened. It was meant to be, though. It was meant to be. The playoffs, the AFC still runs through Arrowhead. 5, 6 years, 7 years now. I've lost count. It's kind of become the expectation. I'm proud. I would have thought that we would have lost one other game. So to finish, was it 14-3, I believe? It's one win more than what I had us at the start of the season. I thought we'd trip up in that first game of the season against the Chargers. I thought we would trip up in that one because that's the only time the Chargers are ever healthy. So, but if we made it, we made it through. We beat everybody in the division again. We faced the best version of the Bills, and we lost a close game. Some uncharacteristic turnovers in the red zone from Pat and some bad timeout and clock management from Andy. It just comes with the territory. But overall, I really can't complain. We lost Tyreek Hill, a top 3 wide receiver in the NFL. We have a roster loaded with rookies, and we are with the number 1 seed in the AFC. I've seen all that I need to see in my lifetime. I know he still needs to rack up the accomplishments, but Pat Mahomes is QB1. I think as far as skill goes, he's the best to ever do it. He's not the most winning quarterback, of course. That goes to Brady. The amount of plays, getting to watch so many Chiefs games, the amount of plays that he makes that are just unreal and don't even get mentioned, whereas you watch another broadcast and Tua makes one good throw. They don't say, oh, it was a Josh Allen throw, or oh, that was a Lamar throw. It's Pat Mahomes. And these kids coming up from college, Caleb Williams, they're not getting compared to any. The ultimate compliment is getting compared to Pat Mahomes. So as long as we've got 15, I'm feeling good about our chances. But yeah, victory lap for the season. We did what I thought we needed to do. It looked a little shaky, but ever since the bye week, we've been looking pretty good. And we got right the last 2 weeks of the regular season, so I feel good going into the playoffs.
Now, Marcus, correct me if I misheard you. Did you say that Patrick Mahomes is the greatest of all time?
Yes.
Of all, like not just the best quarterback playing right now, but the greatest quarterback ever.
Greatest quarterback of all time. Yep.
Woo, that's some strong words. Brett, you want to chime in on that claim? Do you agree with Marcus?
So I'll say this. I love Patrick Mahomes. I think he's must-see television. He is such a baller. He's everything that was promised. I remember his rookie year, it was a Monday night game, and I think it was like Joe Tessitore was announcing, and he's going, oh, Mahomes, he's got that Brett Favre in him, and and I'm thinking, all right, brother, let's calm down. Let's not crown this dude yet. Like the next season, I was like, yeah, he's all that. He's amazing. I love watching Patrick Mahomes play football. Listen, I'm biased. I love Andy Reid for all that he gave to Philadelphia, and for what we didn't give him hurts me. One of the happiest moments was seeing him win a Super Bowl. I love Travis Kelce. I think he's one of maybe the best tight end to ever play football, and I mean that. Their outlook, losing Tyreek Hill was huge, and I really thought that was going to be a damper for them this year. Didn't miss a beat. Are you kidding me? Like, even their wide receiver inconsistencies this year, through injuries, it just doesn't matter. It's the system. Is Patrick Mahomes the greatest quarterback of all time? I can't consciously agree with that, obviously. But he's well on his way. I mean, from now, I know Marcus said from a skill standpoint, I can't argue that. I really can't. He's incredible, and if it's not Philly, and if it is coming out of the AFC and it's Kansas City, I'm going for Kansas City. Like I said, I'm Big Andy. That's my guy. So they're just, I love, like I said, I love watching Patrick Mahomes just sling the rock. It's just death taxes Patrick Mahomes throws touchdowns, and it's incredible. That one play he had this year where he did that spin move and the underhand throw for the touchdown. I was sitting on my couch just going, this isn't fair. It's just not fair at all. He's the man, and I love Patrick Mahomes.
If you told me that my life is on the line and I have to have a quarterback win a drive for me right now in 2022/2023, I'll take Patrick Mahomes. I think that he is the best quarterback in the NFL right now. I
agree.
I don't think he's in the top 5 all time, but that's just, I'm trying to take it objectively, and I don't want to be that guy, but for every crazy spinning out of trouble, avoiding sacks play that you can show me that Mahomes does, I can show you a Roethlisberger doing it as well before he was broken down and elderly. So I'm not, again, Todd, also my co-host of the regular Porch Talk, told me to make sure that I bring up hashtag Dynasty of One in case there was any kind of Chiefs talk on the show. And I just told him I'd make sure that was getting in there. So I do agree. Mahomes is the best quarterback right now. I don't think, like I said, I can't in good conscience say he's even in the top 5 all time, but I don't know. Maybe if he rattles off a couple wins over the next few years, wins a couple more Super Bowls, it's hard to even say he's better than Brady. He's better than Brady right now, but 5 years ago, if I had the gun to my head, I would have taken Brady over everybody else, so it's hard to put Mahomes in that upper echelon. I don't know. No offense.
That's all right. That's all right. No, I agree. We need to start winning. Trying to be unbiased, but we absolutely would have smoked the Buccaneers in that 2021 Super Bowl. But we had no offensive line, and you got to be prepared for that. We definitely overcorrected and have such a deep offensive line now. That'll never happen again. And then last year, it happens to all the greats. They all have that one playoff game where their spirit leaves their body. And it's the Space Jam effect of their powers getting snatched. And it happened to Pat going into halftime against the Bengals last season. So that can never happen again. We absolutely would have smoked the Rams as well that year. So we really should have 3 Super Bowls on the mantle. We only have 1, so we got to start piling them up because there is no he's got to win more. He's got to win more Super Bowls. That's just what the standard is, thanks to Brady. So he's got to start collecting some rings.
Absolutely. All right. Anything else about the Chiefs before we move it over to the? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, nothing about the Chiefs. I was just gonna toss it your way for your Steelers. They're on the outside of the playoffs, but I think a victory lap is well deserved.
Well, thank you, Marcus, for you feeling so. Brett doesn't feel so, but you know what, Brett, you can sit this one out then. This will just be a conversation between myself and Marcus. Marcus,
I got a few things.
When we did our baseball recap show and we kind of previewed the NFL season, what was goal number 1 that I set out for the Steelers this year? The thing that I said, if this happens, I will be pumped. I'll be thrilled.
I believe it was that they finished with a winning record.
Yeah, exactly. I actually, at the time, I forgot that it wasn't a 16-game season, so I was just 8-8 is the dream. But I quickly realized that with the extra game, I would have to actually have a winning season of 9-8. And I didn't think it was going to happen. I started the season off. I put on a brave face. I tried to delude myself behind the handsomeness of Mitch Trubisky. I said it was going to all be okay. And we had a couple good wins. We beat the Bengals early in the season, but we started 2-6. It was quite possibly going to be an embarrassment of a season. Like, and it's so embarrassing that we might have finished behind the Browns. But after the bye week, a little somebody named TJ Watt comes back from his injury, and we get some playing time from the future of the team, Kenny, by God, Pickett. The standard is the standard in Pittsburgh. I had to go 6 whole weeks without having a franchise quarterback. I don't know how some teams do this. It was rough. But we started the season 2-6, finished the season on a 7-2 run. Like, nobody thought the Steelers were going to be halfway decent. Once Watt came back, we were holding teams to 16 points a game, which was the lowest over that stretch. Finished the season, I believe, with the most interceptions, top 5 in like every defensive category, and that's with Watt missing a ton of time. Minka Fitzpatrick led the league in interceptions. All of a sudden, like, Kenny Pickett to Pickens, George Pickens looks like a combination that, if both guys are healthy and Pickens doesn't turn into Antonio Brown, like, could be a great combination for years to come. And like, just even like their tight end, Pat Freiermuth, who gets a lot of comparisons to Travis Kelce, and just his size and speed. Like, obviously he's nowhere near Kelce, but if he's 80% of Travis Kelce, I'd be thrilled with that. I'm just really happy that, again, I had super low expectations going into this season. I was worried that Tomlin was going to get a losing season, but Tomlin's like the Jeff Jarrett of the NFL. Tomlin don't lose. You don't lose. He's always going to end up coming out ahead. And I'm glad that he got the winning season. I'm glad that going into next year, with the way Pickett played over the last month of the season, multiple game-winning drives, and then he just undressed the Browns in the last week of the season. There's a lot to look forward to. And the fact that for the 33rd year in a row, let me say that again in case my microphone broke up. For the 33rd year in a row, the Steelers finished the season with a better record than the Cleveland Browns. So I get it that that's not all of the things I said. If your team is in the playoffs like both years, you're going to be like, so what? But this was my down year. This was the Steelers hitting rock bottom, and the rock bottom of the Steelers is 9-8. So I'm looking forward to the next 18 years of Kenny Pickett.
So you mean to tell me you're good on passing on Derek Carr?
1,000%.
Okay. All right. If something were to happen to one of these top 3 quarterbacks and somebody were to slide to the middle, you wouldn't want the Steelers to make a trade to jump up a couple spots and go take a look at and go take Stroud.
I mean, I don't see. You have a guy, now granted, Pickett hasn't beaten the Chiefs. He hasn't beaten the Eagles. He hasn't won a playoff game. But for a rookie quarterback who basically played in 8 games this season, what more development do you need to see to say, okay, this is a guy that we need to give another year or two to? He aside from his first game where he threw a couple picks, then he got concussed, and then he came back and he's been solid. Hasn't turned the ball over. He's marching the team down to the red zone. The only thing that's holding that team back is the borderline high school level offense that's being called by Matt Canada. If they brought in one of the multiple fired head coaches that are all offensive geniuses that are going to be on the market this offseason, and actually develop an explosive offense around all those tools, like, they have so much young offensive talent that's going to get wasted with the play calling of Matt Canada. So I don't care if like a Manning was in the draft. At this point, Pickett hasn't done anything to say we need to move on. You can all look at me like that all you want, but I'm saying, like, maybe I'm just seeing it with rose-colored glasses. What has Kenny Pickett done that would make you think, oh no, this guy doesn't deserve another year, and we shouldn't spend these draft picks to bolster his offensive line, to bolster the defense, to just make an already decent team that much better?
Yeah, I mean, I'll give you that. I'm not as high on Pickett as you are. I think he's gonna be okay. I don't think he's the next franchise quarterback for Pittsburgh. I just don't. That team, Najee Harris took a step back this year for sure.
Najee Harris had like a really bad foot injury for most of the season.
Yeah. Deontay Johnson, I think that's your one wide receiver, right?
Yeah,
he's Deontay.
He's got a case of the dropsies. And I'll tell you what, more the bigger problem with Deontay Johnson, more of a problem than the drops, is it could be something like 3rd and 9. He'll catch the ball with a 9-yard gain, and in an effort to try to break a 50-yard thing, he'll run backwards 4 yards to try to go around defenders, and it'll end up being 4th and 4. There were so many times that Deontay Johnson would catch the ball at the first down and then run backwards trying to make an explosive play, and it would cost the Steelers. But I think George Pickens is more of the future at that position, because I'm sure Deontay is going to ask for a ton of money.
Yeah, I agree. I like Pickens. I worry about his health, but I do think he could develop. I love Freiermuth. I think he's going to be great. I look at, again, I think it's good year for you guys for sure. 9-8. What more did you expect? No,
I get it. You can go ahead and trash my team. Me and Marcus are being polite and civil, but you go ahead and trash Pittsburgh.
I'm not. Listen, like you said before, we live on one side of the state. Pittsburgh's on the other side. I have no problem with Steelers. Like, I've never been like, I hate them. Nah, I don't care about them. No offense. I'm sorry. And admittedly, I didn't see a ton of Pittsburgh this year. I just didn't. I more so look at that division and the other teams in that division, and you got one powerhouse that I think is not going anywhere. So it'll be interesting to see them moving forward. I'm not like, haha, 9-8, that sucks. I'm also like, I don't think I've seen enough out of Pickett to crown him yet.
Yeah. No, I get you. I may be slightly exaggerating with the Kenny Pickett, the franchise quarterback of 20 years, but I definitely think he just earned another full season before you go shopping for a quarterback.
I'll give you that.
And as far as like the powerhouse of the division type thing, I think all three of us can agree the Browns are terrible, right? They're going to be terrible forever, right? Okay.
It's destiny.
Destiny.
Yeah, they're dookie.
Baltimore, if they franchise Lamar Jackson, okay, let's assume he's on the team next year. Then let's assume he can play more than 8 games without getting hurt. Even then, he has a 500 record against like the Roethlisberger Steelers. So I'm not sold that he's going to be a problem. The problem is the Cincinnati Bengals, who are a very good team, but they are basically Burrow and Chase, his wide receiver.
Hey, don't sleep on T. Higgins.
He's no Jamar Chase though. But that combination, if that's your biggest weapons, I think that Tomlin can figure it out to split with them. Realistically, the Bengals only finished with 2 wins more than the Steelers this year. So if they're a powerhouse, they were 11-5. The Steelers were 9-8. So the
Bengals did the same thing they did last season. It took them a while to figure it out, and then they turned it on about halfway through the season. Yeah. Unfortunately, I think for them, that just bought their coaching staff another 2 or 3 seasons. I think the big problem there, again, is coaching. I do not believe in Zach Taylor. His best game plan seems to be let Joey cook, which is a great game plan. But yeah, he makes a lot of mistakes as my computer's going nuts. But he makes a lot of mistakes.
Yeah. I have lived through so many Bengals powerhouse teams. I'm the oldest on this call. I've lived through, nothing's going to stop Carson Palmer and the Bengals. I've lived through nothing's going to stop Andy Dalton and the Bengals. And now it's nothing's going to stop Joe Burrow and the Bengals. I feel like I just have to wait it out a year or two, and the Bengals will be on to a new shiny toy.
Well, and the good thing for you is it seems that the Bills, the Chiefs, and the Bengals seem destined just to kind of eat each other for the next 3 to 5 years. Yeah. So you guys could very easily upset them in a wild card capacity. I just look at Kenny Pickett, and I'm like, I don't trust him to beat the Bengals 2 out of 3 times. I don't trust him to beat the Ravens 2 out of 3 times as long as they have Lamar. And I mean, Cleveland's just Cleveland. Like,
yeah, you can just write those wins down right there.
Yeah, I think it's tough. I think you guys can get into the playoffs with him. This season, I mean, you were just less than a game short, pretty much. But yeah, getting past that point, it's hard seeing it with him. But I think you'll have a new quarterback come 2024.
Ooh, bold prediction. I like it.
Yeah.
I am willing to say I would make a gentleman's wager that we'll be entering the 2024 season with Kenny Pickett, barring an injury, barring some catastrophic like ACL reconstructive surgery, because he does have a case of Tua brain where he seems to get concussed every time he gets sneezed on. So barring an injury, I think we enter 2024 with Kenny Pickett. So I will bet you one wrestling fig. One store-bought fig.
A fig opportunity. I'm game.
One, let's say elite/unrivaled level fig.
Okay, all right.
You want to take that?
Upper tier fig, yeah. All right.
This is this is a long-term bet, so Brett, you'll have to remind us.
I'll be there. I'm pretty sure Marcus is 1-0 in fig bets, to my knowledge. So, oh boy.
It's my best opportunity.
Was I involved in losing the other one? I don't know what the other one was.
No, that was Tim when he said the Red Sox were going to make the playoffs last year.
Oh, well, that's just Tim throwing away money. One last thing I'll say about the Steelers, and Brett, you mentioned draft picks. The Steelers, just kind of another smart move that they made, and the reason why they just continue to be a standard of at least a well-run organization. Not only do they grow wide receivers on trees, like pretty much anybody they draft tends to be NFL ready. Like they don't all become Hall of Famers, but they all become pretty solid. And we just basically gave away a pretty decent wide receiver in Chase Claypool at the trade deadline. The Steelers never trade players. They certainly don't acquire them through trades, but in this case, they traded them away to the Bears, and they ended up getting the Bears' second-round pick, which this year will be the 32nd pick because there isn't a 32nd pick in the draft. So they're technically going to draft twice in the first round. And ever since they got rid of Claypool, Steelers were 7-2, and the Bears were 0-9. So I will take that trade any day of the week. So an extra first round pick, and it didn't help. It did not help the Bears at all.
And it cleared up your wide receiver room too. Pickens needed some more targets.
Yeah, absolutely. But all right, well, I'm glad, Brett, you took a moment to indulge me in having some happiness in this NFL season. I mean, it can't all be about the Eagles. So thank you for allowing me some time.
Listen, I'm no Pittsburgh hater. I just don't care about them.
Well, that won't be what the title of this episode infers, but
oh boy.
But gentlemen, obviously when we wrap up the baseball season, myself and Marcus kind of do our predictions for end of season awards. And I don't really want to do that with football because football has weird awards. But do you guys want to hand out any flowers or maybe stomp on anybody's flowers going into this off season? Any kind of hot takes you want to go on record with, anything like that?
So I don't think it's so much a hot take, but I mean, I'll just run like a real quick NFL award prediction. Patrick Mahomes is the MVP. He just is. It's just that's the way it goes. I obviously I love my boy Hurts. Not playing those 2 games hurts his case, no pun intended. But I mean, on the ground, like Hurts obviously racking up touchdowns and yards like it's nobody's business. But it's Patrick Mahomes. This league runs as Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is to the NFL what Kazuchika Okada is to New Japan Pro Wrestling. It is what it is. He is the face, all right? The ace, the face, the man, whatever you want to call him. I think Coach of the Year, I know like everybody loves like, he took him from 4-12 to 9-8. Let's give him Coach of the Year. Nah, I don't really buy that. I think, I mean, it sounds like I'm so biased, but I'd probably give it to Nick Sirianni. Eagles were a juggernaut this year. It was what it was. 2 of the 3 games they lost is with a backup quarterback. It's just I'd go Sirianni, and then probably Offensive Player of the Year. I don't know. Maybe Tyreek Hill. Maybe Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson is going to haunt me for the rest of my life. I'll never forget it. That draft when the Cowboys took CeeDee Lamb, I tweeted out. I said, "Oh, at least Justin Jefferson's still available. Jalen Reagor, cool, great." So that's like where I'm going award wise. Hot takes. I think if the Cowboys are a one and done, Mike McCarthy gets fired, and they bring in Sean Payton. That they've been linked for how many years now. I could see that definitely happening, which not fair to McCarthy, but what are you going to do? It's Jerry Jones. I don't really know of any other hot takes. I don't know.
Let me just interject here if I can, just to try to pick out your 27 takes there, man. Come on, give us a chance to respond. First of all, regarding the whole, your coach, you started off with a losing record, then you finished with a winning record. Once again, another shot at the Steelers. I don't appreciate that. And I do agree that Mahomes, I think, is your MVP. But I will say that if Hurts or Tua stayed healthy and continued the course of what they were doing early in the season, it might have been hard to give that to Mahomes, because I could have seen either one of those do that. As Marcus has his arms crossed and is very angry at me for saying that. But Marcus, I will defer to you so I don't get myself in too much trouble.
Okay, well, how many seasons did Pat have Tyreek Hill? 4, 5? And he's got 1 MVP to show for it, but he's putting up better stats than what Tua and Jalen Hurts were doing without Hill. So how can you have it both ways? When Pat has Hill, it's, he has Tyreek Hill. He has all these tools around him. Let's give it to somebody else. Let's find a reason to give it to Aaron Rodgers 2 years in a row, even though he looks like skin and bones out there. Let's have a conversation about Brady. Like, all these excuses try not to give it to Pat. And then this season, when it's clear-cut Pat from week 1, it's, maybe it's Herbert. Okay, well, it's not Herbert. Okay, well, maybe it's Tua. Well, Tua just got Tyreek Hill. He wasn't looking like an MVP last season. If you want to include Tyreek Hill or Justin Jefferson in the MVP conversation, I'll listen to it as a distant 2 or 3. But it's Patrick Mahomes. It's clearly his season. It probably should be his 3rd MVP. I think Rodgers and the whole narrative behind Rodgers rising from the dead after they drafted Jordan Love. He definitely stole an MVP from Mahomes there. So should be the 3-time MVP, but I'll take 2 for the cabinet for Mahomes.
All right, so obviously that is your MVP pick. I think I could have wrote that down in pen before the show started. But any other kind of awards or hot takes, Marcus?
I'll get my Coach of the Year in. I'm trying not to go narrative-based, but it is kind of a narrative-based award. It's tough for me not to give a nod to Doug Peterson for taking that Jags team. Like, one reason I don't want to give it to him is because they've had so much cap room and they've had such high draft picks that team is loaded with talent, and all you needed was an adult in the room to get everybody on the same page and go put out a football team. And they've seen it done this season, and it's a playoff team. And I think they had enough talent last year to be a playoff team in that division. So kind of just I think a case there for Peterson. I mean, Mike Tomlin, man, like to do what he's doing with the team that he's got, is super impressive. Shout out to Sirianni as well. He was killing it. He coached, the NFC's #1 seed. It's got to be mentioned there. And I feel obligated since it's the NFL. I feel like we got to mention those biting kneecappers, the Detroit Lions, Dan Campbell. They look kind of dead in the water through the first 6 weeks, and he rallied the troops and, gave us one of the best games of the season and one of the best moments of the season when he was able to knock Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers out of playoff contention. So I'll throw in a quarter of a vote for Dan Campbell.
Nice. I don't have any awards because I'm going to stay out of this, and I'll just say my hot take isn't much a hot take, but it's just an opinion that I am so happy that the Packers missed the playoffs.
Yes.
Because I am so sick of sports writers just gobbling up Aaron Rodgers bullshit. Aaron Rodgers has one cycle, and I tweeted this out before. He starts off the season terrible, just lazy, not driven, yells at everybody on his team. Like if he overthrows a ball, he's screaming at the wide receiver that they didn't jump up 10 feet in the air. He'll bounce a ball into the turf and like, you should have dove for it. Just plays like poop for half the season. Then he gets called on it and he gets really bitchy that like, relax, I got this. And a lot of times he does. They figure it out because when he turns it on, he plays well. And then he has the second half of the season, and everybody is like, oh, Aaron Rodgers is one of the first ballot Hall of Famer, one of the greatest to ever do it. Of course he's going to make the playoffs. And this season, it was a foregone conclusion that he was going to beat the Lions. I remember watching PTI, and they were predicting for the last couple spots in the playoffs. And I think it was Wilbon said that he is positive the Steelers were going to win against the Browns and that the Packers were going to win against the Lions. He said he can't control, whether or not that gets the Steelers in or whatever. But when it comes down to it, those like good teams are going to figure out a way to do it. So there was no doubt that the Packers were going to beat the Lions. And obviously, Aaron Rodgers doesn't show up. I thought he was like on the Mount Rushmore of quarterbacks. And you couldn't beat the Lions? I get it. They're a plucky upstart team and they're getting better. But he didn't have to beat the Chiefs on the last day of the season. He didn't have to beat the Bengals. It was the Lions. And like the Lions are an 8-8 team, if that. Like they're not a juggernaut. If you take away one good season that Rodgers had that I don't want to talk about, Rodgers hasn't won shit. He has a lot of good regular seasons. He's racked up a lot of stats, but he's been in the league 18 years and has one deep run in the playoffs where people tell me he won a Super Bowl. I don't remember. It's all blocked out. Aside from that, he's got a lot of fluke Hail Marys that have just somehow put him on this pedestal of being the greatest of all time. I don't think Aaron Rodgers is half the quarterback that Patrick Mahomes is. I don't think Aaron Rodgers, I'll get shit for this. I don't think Aaron Rodgers is half the quarterback that Ben Roethlisberger was. Ben Roethlisberger was a fucking winner. He didn't throw 6,000-yard seasons every single year, but he fucking won games. Rodgers is a good regular season quarterback. He's just he's Dan Marino. He's a guy who puts up lots of stats and just doesn't get shit done. And I'm so happy he got eliminated. And I hope he's gone from the Packers. Let him try to do his Tom Brady thing where he's going to go try to get a ring somewhere, or just go away and just pop up on like conspiracy radio shows. I don't care. I'm glad that he lost. And I'm just sick of the narrative that it's like, oh, Brady's the greatest of all time, but right beneath him, you got to look at Aaron Rodgers. No, you don't. He hasn't won anything.
Brett, I'll defer to you because you've had Rodgers in your conference for your fandom, so go ahead.
Oh, yeah. So Rodgers, I can't hate on him too much because he is a certified cowboy killer. So many moments he has absolutely crushed that team, which has brought me joy. I think Aaron, I don't like him as much as I used to for obvious reasons. He, I don't know. I did see a lot of Green Bay this year. I felt like they were in prime time every other week. Yeah, it's tough. I mean, were they kind of in like that rebuild mode this year with what was around him? I think so. Uh, you know, he had a bad year though. He was forcing a lot, and there were times where he looked lost. Like just absolutely didn't know what he was doing. Um, I don't hate Aaron Rodgers. I don't think he's as good as everyone has ever said his whole career. Um, that's all. That's all I really have about Rodgers.
Brett's afraid of getting the Aaron Rodgers stands in his DMs and his mentions later on.
No, hey, listen. If you want to talk to me about viewpoints of Aaron Rodgers, send them my way, please. Ugh.
Marcus, where do you fall on Aaron Rodgers? Greatest of all time or almost the greatest of all time?
Neither. When he was good, he was great. 11, 12, 13, 14 probably. But there's a reason why Green Bay moved up to take a quarterback in the first round, because he looked dead for about 3 seasons, and year after year he just kept declining, and nobody was really talking about it because he was coasted on that name and just winning an easy division every year. And they were regular season monsters. Like even with Matt LaFleur there, besides this season, they've won 13 games every season. I think 3 seasons in a row. But again, they've got an easy division to do that in and pile up wins. I never thought he was as great as everybody said, but he was really good, in the middle portion of the last decade or so. I will be happy to see him out of the league. I don't think he has that makeup for endurance that Tom Brady does, because so much of Rodgers' play is based off athleticism, kind of like Roethlisberger. And when that goes, you're running on fumes. And I think Rodgers has been running on fumes for far longer than a lot of people have realized. It's probably been about 5 or 6 seasons now where he's been pretty toast. So, yeah, I expect to see him out of the league. He's got a nice contract that's going to follow him if he does go to another team. There will be another team that will trade a couple first-round picks for him. Might even be worth it. A team like the Jets, right? Like, get a guy in there.
Follow in Favre's footsteps.
Right. There's going to be a team that is a quarterback away that's going to pick up the phone and cough up a couple draft picks for Aaron Rodgers. But I'm not sad to see to see his dream stash this season, especially after all that talk he was talking about the Lions. The Lions put out a TikTok that was just a compilation of Rodgers talking all this talk about how the Lions, that's a foregone conclusion, or that game won't be hard. Like, he did a lot of talking this season and got whooped by the Lions twice.
Yeah, he's more dismissive and arrogant on the mic than any quarterback that I'm aware of, in the NFL. Because pretty much, and a lot of people hate this, but most players, when they're mic'd, do the cookie cutter responses.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's all about my offensive line. The other team's great. We had to work hard, all that stuff. And he's very like, F that other team, so that's another reason why it'd be great to see him gone. But I want to make 2 points on this, and then we can move on if you'd like. But how great would it be if he went to the Jets this coming season, and then after that, the Vikings got sick of you like that, and then he went to the Vikings?
It could happen. It could happen because Cousins is locked in for one more season. The Jets are going to have an opening at quarterback next season. So he could follow that path.
Yeah, and then hopefully Rodgers gets taken down in a phony charity scheme.
Real quick, last thing that I have with Rodgers. If he does not retire, can you see him in San Francisco?
That's another good topic, because I have seen a lot of Niners games with the red zone, and I like Brock Purdy. If I was the Niners, I'm trading Trey Lance to try to get some draft capital for him. And then like I'm going Brock Purdy next year, and then like get somebody cheap that started like a Mariota or Trubisky to back up Purdy. Like I think I'm not saying Brock Purdy is going to be the next Tom Brady, but he came right out of the gate as an NFL quarterback. Like if it wasn't for Kenny Pickett, he'd obviously be the best quarterback in the rookie class. But I would not want Rodgers over Purdy.
Okay.
There's some crazy stat for the 49ers of quarterbacks in the last like 6 or 7 years, pretty much since Shanahan's been the head coach, of quarterbacks that have completed multiple passes over 30 yards. It's Trey Lance, it's CJ Beathard, and it's Brock Purdy. And he just and they've had a lot of quarterbacks, and he just unlocks an element of their offense that they don't have, and that's the deep ball. And you talk about people who've earned a season. He's definitely earned a season, and if I'm the 49ers, I'm getting out of Trey Lance immediately, because there's a chance if we live in an economy where Josh Rosen was able to get scooped up for, I think, a second-round pick. You can get some draft capital back for Lance. It won't be what you gave up, but you can get some back, because I just don't think that dude can play.
I agree. He never like when they brought him out, when they drafted him, I was thinking, what are you doing? This dude just shows nothing.
Yeah. I'm all in on Brock Purdy. Like that's a solid team, and we'll get into that in just a moment. But the other thing I was going to say, last thing regarding Rodgers is, do not go and look at my tweets from like a year and a half to 2 years ago, where I very much wanted either Rodgers or Russell Wilson to succeed Ben Roethlisberger. And I was like, I don't care what it's going to take. Give him our entire draft class. Give me Russell Wilson. Give me Aaron Rodgers. And then Rodgers went and did all the stuff with like being anti-vax and otherwise being crazy. And I was like, all right, I don't want Rodgers. Give me Russell Wilson. Let Russ cook. He's going to be great. And I'm happy none of that worked out. So I should go and look for those tweets and delete them.
Yeah, Russ is certainly cooked all right. I will say he looked a lot better once they got Hackett out of there.
Yeah, he did. I
lot
agree.
Better. He hasn't looked $200 million coming his way better, but he's looked better.
The thing that's terrible is the fact that I was watching something on the NFL Network, and they were talking about Sean Payton coming out of retirement potentially, and like how great of a fit he would be if he went to Denver and he was there with Russell Wilson. And I forget who it was. It was a former NFL coach. It might have been the Jets guy who has the foot fetish. I can't remember.
Rex Ryan.
Rex
Ryan. I think Rex Ryan said like no veteran coach is going to want to go to Denver because you have no draft picks for the next like 3 years because they gave up everything for Russell Wilson. Like you either want a team that has picks or a team that has a ton of money, and Denver has neither, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's not exactly a destination coaching spot.
No. But all right, gentlemen, you guys ready to talk about the playoffs?
Playoffs?
Let's do it.
Playoffs. So obviously the first round is set and begins on Saturday. How do you guys feel about there being a Monday Night Football playoff game?
I hate it.
Really? Marcus?
Yeah.
Not a fan. Not a fan.
See, I think like obviously there's 6 games this weekend. Is that correct?
Yep.
Over the course of the days. Yeah. So I probably would have preferred 3 and 3, you know, like 3 on Saturday, 3 on Sunday, but I don't hate the Monday night game, but it just it doesn't feel like I don't feel right watching a playoff game on a Monday. I guess that's what you guys think as well, right?
Yep. I'm right there with you. You know, with the new format where basically everyone gets in, I'm not used to playoff games on Mondays. No thanks.
Yeah. Well, give it a couple of years when there's 8 seeds in each conference, you know, then they'll have like a Thursday night football playoff game as well. All right, guys, I have the brackets in front of me. Let's just go ahead and try to go through these relatively quick. If you have a point as to why you believe the team's going to win, by all means. But starting in the AFC, we have the number 5 seed, the Chargers, versus the number 4, the Jaguars. Brett, how do you feel?
Oh boy, I can see Jacksonville winning. I really can. I know it's Herbert, and I think Mike Williams got banged up last week again. I don't know. I can see Jacksonville winning. Trevor Lawrence is starting to look like what was promised with him. They got a lot of talent around him. Defense is, it's okay, but still a lot of talent on that side of the ball. I can see Jacksonville winning. I really can.
Marcus, how do you feel?
I agree. Not just because I'm a Chargers hater and the Chargers invent ways to lose. This game is either going to be over like 66.5 points combined. It's either going to be like an offensive shootout, or it's going to be this ugly sludge of a game that's going to be like a scoregami, and it's going to be like 19-11 or something crazy. Like, I got Jacksonville winning though. I think they got more talent. This is Herbert's first playoff game as well. A lot of people seem to want to crown him too, just because he can throw a nice ball. But yeah, I think Jacksonville's got more talent. I think they've got better coaching. I think the Chargers coaching staff is going to be on their way out. So yeah, give me Jacksonville. All elite, baby.
You guys make very compelling arguments, and it's good to see that Marcus is staying on Tony Khan's good side.
Never know.
This gets pulled about. These archives come out. He's towing the company line. I do have written down Chargers. I do not feel strongly about it one way or another. I do agree that the Chargers are another one of those franchises that ain't never won nothing. Going back to the Phillip Rivers days, I'm going to stick with the Chargers just to be unique on this, but I could have easily been swayed the other way. So next up, we have the number 3 seed, the Bengals against the number 6 seed, the Baltimore Ratbirds, Ravens.
This is the game you're definitely tuning in for.
I hope it ends in a tie and they're both eliminated.
I just think the Bengals are going to steamroll them. I really do. Baltimore, if you get Lamar back, you don't know what you're getting. He hasn't played in 5 weeks, I think.
Hasn't been practiced in 5 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, he just there's not much there. I think Cincinnati's just gonna truck them. I know, Adam, you're a Cincinnati hater, but don't forget about Joe Mixon too. That dude's pretty solid. And he's catching the ball out of the backfield a lot more now too, which that adds a whole nother dynamic to that offense. Yeah, Cincinnati's gonna rout them, I think.
Marcus?
Yeah, give me Cincinnati. I think this is where P. Ryan shows his versatility. A lot of people forget about him too. He can catch a ball and take it to the house real quick. I might put a little something on him having anytime touchdown.
Interesting.
Yeah, give me the Bengals though. I just think the Ravens ran out of steam about 5 weeks ago, and I don't want to imagine the next round if the Ravens were to advance. I kind of need the Bengals to win. So,
I just want to clarify something that Brett said. I respect and fear the Bengals. Okay. I don't like them, but I respect them. They're not the Browns, who I don't respect and never will respect. Like, the Bengals seem to at least be like run by people who have watched football before, unlike the Browns, that are a team made up of players that were picked out of a hat of discarded XFL players. So I also have the Bengals advancing, but handily. Even if it was Lamar Jackson healthy, I would still have the Bengals.
Poor Nick Chubb, he's just stuck in hell.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, hopefully Nick Chubb and Myles Garrett can end up on a decent team before their careers end.
Is Chubb a free agent this year?
I don't believe so.
Okay. I don't think so, no.
All right. I know the free agent class is stacked at running back. I wasn't sure if he was.
Kareem Hunt is a free agent.
Okay.
That's
wow.
the Browns guy.
That's a name I forgot about as the year went on.
He's been pretty cooked this season.
Yeah. All right, and finally in the opening round for the AFC, the number 2 seed, a team who already won their Super Bowl earlier in the season, the Buffalo Bills, versus the number 7 seed, the Miami Dolphins. Brett, what you got?
Is Tua playing? Or
Uh,
is he still in Wet Brain City?
Didn't he play the last game of the season?
No,
No, it was
he's out.
Skylar Thompson started. Teddy
Yeah.
Bridgewater didn't even play.
Well, I don't know the answer to that question because I believe neither do the Dolphins coaching staff.
Honestly, it doesn't matter. Buffalo, I think they're just gonna do what they want. I know they had that game earlier this year where that was very close on that Saturday. I think it was a Saturday night game they played.
So
But again, Tua is another guy. If he plays, he hasn't played in 3-4 weeks, so you don't know what you're getting out of it. I think Buffalo's a little overrated. I think Josh Allen has been kind of trash down the stretch. My man,
The happiest I've seen Marcus in a while.
That dude's turning the ball over left and right. They're still dangerous though with Diggs. I mean, that's a lethal connection. But I could just see cold weather game 2. I'm going Buffalo.
All right, Marcus, I assume you're in agreement, but go ahead and put a bunch of asterisks on it.
So I've got Buffalo winning this game, but if there is an upset to happen on this side of the bracket, this is the game, because I think the Dolphins are better equipped to win a cold weather game. Buffalo barely pulled out that snow game. And that's just because they had the ball last. Dolphins have the better run game. That is the glaring weakness of the Bills and has been for a couple seasons now, and it hasn't been addressed. But they got Von Miller who likes to get to the quarterback. Well, guess what? That's gonna be nice for about 6 weeks, which was my prediction. And what happened? Yeah, okay. Hope he rests up and gets better. But what I thought was gonna happen is gonna happen. Josh Allen has been doo-doo butter not this whole entire season. It truly did. He played to the Super Bowl and he won the Super Bowl when they beat Kansas City in the regular season, like they did last season. And like they did last season, the same thing's going to happen. They're going to get whooped up if they even make it that far. Won't be in Arrowhead, should be in Arrowhead, but they're going to get whooped up at a neutral site by the Chiefs if they even make it that far. Josh Allen, since that point, which I think was around week 6 or so, since that point, he's been at the bottom of the league as a quarterback in any stat you want to look at. He's down there with Davis Mills, who got benched. He's, no offense, Trubisky and Pickett, young quarterbacks in a really bad offense. Allen's been down there around those guys. He has been real bad for most of the season, but because he's 6'5" and he's the great white hope, and he's got a ton of playmakers around him, he gets a pass, man, and it bugs me to no end. So I would love to see an upset here. I'd love to see them lose at any point. I know they're the team of destiny. Best wishes to Damar Hamlin, of course, but I just don't like the Bills, man, and I could see an upset happening, but to be safe, I'm going to say the Bills.
I just want to say that over the last 4 weeks of the season, in the fourth quarter, Kenny Pickett had a QBR of over 100 in the fourth quarter. So that's better than your boy out of Buffalo. I'm just going to say that. And me slipping in Kenny Pickett references on Sports Talk is like me slipping in Sky Blue references on At Odds. So just prepare yourself. But I also take Buffalo on this. I could see if Tua comes in and he's 100% healthy, I can see there being an upset because I don't have a ton of confidence in Buffalo. Coming into the 2022 season, I thought Buffalo was going to be the 1A to the Chiefs 1B in the AFC. I thought they were going to be on par as the best teams in the AFC. Buffalo's been a huge disappointment, but I will still take the Bills in this game if I was a betting man.
It's hard to be at the top, baby. We make it look so easy, but it ain't. Yeah. A real quick thing about the Bills, with the injury, of course, the injury not even the right word, but with Hamlin being out, he was their backup safety. So now they're on their third string safety, plus they're already down a corner. I mean, the recipe is there for them to get tripped up in the early rounds.
All right. Guys, before we go and do any of the further rounds of the AFC, let's switch it over to the NFC, and let's start with the number 4 seed, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, versus them boys, the number 5 seed, the Cowboys. Can we just say
Yuck.
that? Can I just guess that we all assume the Cowboys are going to lose, or do we want to go through a dog and pony show on this?
So here's the problem. You don't know what Dallas you're getting. It's just week to week. You know, 1 week Dak looks like a world beater. Zeke and Pollard are running wild. And then you have a game like they had against Washington this past week where they were just ass. I mean, like LaShawn McCoy said about Dak is ass. I believe Dak is ass. You're going down to Tampa. My money is always on Brady at home in a playoff game. I understand. Listen, Tampa's looked just absolutely cooked. But, 2 weeks ago, he had some rhythm with Mike Evans that came alive a little bit. I think Tampa for sure. God, please, Tampa. Oh, I can't stand a Dallas win.
Marcus, what do you got?
Yeah, I think it's got to be Tampa here. It seems like Tampa has, I'd say, figured it out, but they've if there's a switch, if they've stumbled into something, whatever it is, but they finally hit on what they were swinging for. Dallas looks cooked, man. They look done, and it'll give me a little bit of joy just to see some dissension in the ranks with the Cowboys, because I think Mike McCarthy's I think he's a great head coach 15 years ago. He just feels like somebody who has not stayed up to the game, and they've been wasting a lot of players' primes. So, give me the Bucks.
All right. I also agree that Tampa Bay is going to win this. However, I do not think Tampa's good, and I do not think that they will make it anywhere in the playoffs. I just think that the muscle memory of winning 7 Super Bowls is enough to coast Brady past an up and down Cowboys team. So I also agree that it's going to be Tampa Bay. All right, next up, number 3 seed, the Minnesota Vikings versus the number 6 seed, the New York Giants.
Minnesota is the best team I've ever seen. They their point differential. I know going into week 18 was negative. I mean, how are you like a 12-win team and have a negative point differential? They never should have won that Colts game. Anytime they've gone up against a good team, Philly smacked them, Dallas smacked them. Look at Green Bay just had their way with them, and I'm not saying Green Bay was a good team. The Giants, I don't know. They got a little flavor right now, and it scares me. Danny Jones, I've always been a Danny Jones hater. That dude has come along this year. I think he's very underrated. He's kind of putting it together. Dayball took him a little bit to figure it out, but I think that they're on their way. I'm going to take the Giants in an upset.
Okay, Marcus?
Brett, you stole my heat, brother.
Oh.
Yeah, I think give me the Giants in an upset here. I had originally looked to see what time this game is. It's the 4:00 game, and Kirk Cousins, he's like Cinderella, except it's any game that's not the 1:00 game. He turns into a pumpkin. Yeah, and it's a shame for the Vikings. I like what they've got. I like their kind of experienced defense. I like their offense. I like their coaching staff. I just don't like Kirk Cousins, man. I think he's been stealing money. He's been stealing money for a long time.
This is another game where I think neither team really stands head or shoulders above the other one. As much as Brett loves Danny Dimes, I really like Saquon. I think he is, when healthy, a generational talent. However, we're at home in Minnesota, and I think that gives them the 3 points that are necessary to beat the Giants on this one. I don't think either team is that great. My heart is with the Giants, but if I had to bet, I would bet on the Vikings on this one. So we are going to disagree on that. You guys so far have been in unison. This is interesting. I'm sure that will change very shortly. The final opening round match, the number 7 seed, the Seahawks, who seem to have gotten better through subtraction, and the number 2 seed, the San Francisco 49ers. Brett, what you got?
So this game is going to come down to, I think, the weather in California. It's supposed to be a downpour. That's going to be big for Seattle because, man, they could run the football. Kenneth Walker, I think Kenneth Walker probably offensive rookie of the year, maybe. If I was gonna, put some money on it, I'd say him. You got Metcalf and Lockett, they're still out there. Geno, yeah, he's kind of regressed as the year's gone on, but obviously had a bit of a resurrection. San Francisco, I know we're high on Brock Purdy. We're in a different ball game now, though. We're in the playoffs. Things are a little bit different. It's another divisional matchup. I didn't look at the record to see if San Fran beat them twice this year or not. But, the old adage goes, throw the records out the window. It's tough because, everything says like San Fran should kind of steamroll them, but if it's rainy, I don't know. I give Seattle a shot. I'll still say San Francisco, but I would not be surprised if Seattle pulls an upset.
I'm with you. Everything you just said. Everything you just said. I like Geno's consistency back there, even though he's kind of leveled off a little bit as the season's gone on. He's going to get you 2 touchdowns, man. So he's good for at least 14 and then a downpour. Might be good if they can run one in. I like their chances a lot more given the elements, but I'll roll with the 49ers.
I just want to say you both have made the point that if it rains, that favors Seattle's running game. I don't know if you're aware, but the 49ers have a guy named Christian McCaffrey.
No.
And they might have a guy named Debo that might come back for the playoffs. I don't think this is as close as you're making it out to be. I also take the 49ers, but if you're going to say, well, Brock Purdy is a rookie and maybe that, the clock will strike midnight during that playoff game and he's going to return to normal form, he's not exactly facing a world beater. Let's not make Geno Smith into anything more than a great game manager who could maybe get you a couple drives. I don't think this is going to be close. I think the Niners, but we'll see.
All right.
I'll say this about Seattle. The next 2 to 3 years, they're just going to be a juggernaut. I really think so. Their draft picks, I think they hit on all of them this year. You have a ton of draft capital coming in. They're going to do a quick turnaround.
All right. I mean, I think they need a new quarterback if that's the case, but that's just me.
Geno was a legit Pro Bowl quarterback, not a Pro Bowl quarterback who got in because, Aaron Rodgers or whoever didn't feel like making the trip to the Pro Bowl. Like, he's a legit top 2 quarterback in the NFC this year. It could get interesting. And Christian McCaffrey, look, glad he finally had a good fantasy season, but I don't know, man. I got to see it to believe it. He hasn't proved it to me that he can get it done in the playoffs. So
Same.
All right. We can agree to disagree. Let's go ahead and up the stakes here over in the AFC. You both agreed that both Cincinnati and Buffalo would advance, and they would face each other in the next round based on seeding. So who do you got?
So would this no, this wouldn't be a neutral site game, would it? Would it be up in Buffalo?
No, it's only the championship game.
yeah, so this would be in Buffalo.
So before the DeMar Hamlin stuff happened, I thought Cincinnati was on their way to put a beat down on Buffalo. I really do. I think, oh man, I don't know. I'm like bought in on this Cincinnati team. As I believe Marcus pointed out, Buffalo can't run the football. tis the season where you got to be able to run the football. Cincinnati could run. Like again, as Marcus mentioned before, Samaje Perine is a very serviceable backup. I'm gonna go Cincinnati. I think Cincinnati knocks out Buffalo.
Marcus, go ahead and trounce on Buffalo all you want. The next 30 seconds is
Yeah,
yours.
Bengals gonna eat them alive. Look, if I gotta have a white boy quarterback, give me Joe Burrow. That dude is ice cold, man. Oh, the way he do it though, so dope. Yeah, I just think the Bengals are a much better team, and I would love to see them just trounce the Bills. Not even close. Like Bills don't even get off the plane. Ideally, I would love to see the scene from Dark Knight Rises, where Bane comes up through the stadium and it's just free or whatever, and then they just go into the ground. Yeah, I'm picking the Bengals.
Yeah, I think we all saw that coming. I also take the Bengals. I hope that this is a good game. This is one of the games that I'm looking forward to, and I hope that it's not a one-sided beatdown, but I could see it being one. I also have the Bengals. I try to avoid it as much as I can. The number 1 seed, the Kansas City Chiefs, against, as you guys say, the Jaguars. I said the Chargers, but Jaguars, Chiefs. I don't even think we need a prediction from Marcus, but Brett, go ahead.
I think this is where Andy Reid's going to take Doug Peterson. He's going to sit him down and say, Dougie, listen, I taught you what you know. How about you roll over and I'm going to pet your belly now because I own you. Chiefs are just going to dismantle Jacksonville. Not saying Jacksonville doesn't have a future. Come on, dog. You're in Arrowhead in the playoffs. Mahomes is just going to cook. Yeah, Chiefs and not close.
Marcus?
If it is Jacksonville, give me the Chiefs and a laugher. However, with my luck, it'll be the Chargers. They'll get by Jacksonville without Mike Williams. Mike Williams will come back for this game, which gives them a whole completely different offense. And the Chiefs have struggled against the Chargers and their big-bodied receivers. As great as our young corners are, we don't have an answer for Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. I hope it's not the Chargers because I could see us slipping on a banana peel trying to beat a team for the third time in a year. But given that I picked Jacksonville earlier, I will now take the Chiefs if they face Jacksonville.
All right. Well, Marcus, you put the doubt into all of our minds. If it is the Chargers and you have to pick, is it still the Chiefs?
Still the Chiefs, baby. Still the
All
Chiefs.
Right. But you'd be more
it'll
worried.
Be close. It'll be like I'll take the Chargers to cover whatever it is.
Yeah. Obviously, I have the Chargers going against the Chiefs. It don't matter whether it's the Chargers or the Jaguars. I still would obviously pick the Chiefs on that one. As Marcus said, I think that if it was the Jaguars, it'll be over by the end of the second quarter, and you can go in and rest your starters if you're the Chiefs. If it's the Chargers, it'll be competitive, but should be a fun game. Let's move over to the NFC. We all picked San Francisco, and no, you guys picked Tampa. We all picked Tampa. So Tampa, San Francisco.
Oh boy. This is where it gets tough, man. Tom, going back home, San Francisco, storybook stuff starts happening. Yeah, it's still San Francisco. I know I say all that, but nah, it's still the Niners. I think the Niners they'll take it to Tampa. Again, Tampa's just so flat. I just think they're getting Dallas in the first round, and Dallas is just ass. So we're gonna go with San Fran.
Marcus.
Testing my NFL back history a little bit. This might be like the game. I think it was Marino's last game or one of his last games when they played the Jags in the playoffs, and the Jags hung like 40-something on them.
Oh, yeah.
And it just a complete dismantling and undressing of one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. That will happen if San Francisco plays the Bucs. So give me San Francisco.
if San Francisco rises to the occasion and they are not like if Brock Purdy doesn't wilt under the lights of the playoffs and he plays to what he's been doing. And the same thing with McCaffrey and the same thing with the defense and just if they just play as well as they have been playing, I agree with Marcus. This is going to be one of those games that makes Tom Brady think that maybe it's time to go home to the kids. I think that the Niners just embarrass Tampa Bay, and that franchise is looking at itself in the mirror over the offseason about what it wants to do. I have the Niners just strongly beating Tampa. All right. The other game, I guess this is probably the one that I might not even bother watching, honestly. It's the number 1 seed, the Philadelphia Eagles, versus the New York Football Giants. Brett, we're going to come back to you because
okay, that sounds good.
I want you to have some time on this one. Marcus, what are your thoughts?
Much like what would be the second round matchup on the AFC side, a great showing for the Giants. They finally put together. They got an adult in the room. Good for them. But this is where the fairy tale ends. I will easily take the Eagles over the Giants.
And I will just say before I defer the rest of my time to Brett, I like the Giants. The Giants firing on all cylinders is not as good as the Eagles at half speed. I just don't think that the Giants have a chance. Assuming Hurts is healthy and plays like he did all season, I think this is another snoozer of a game and the Eagles win. But Brett, the floor is yours.
Oh, thanks, pal. Yeah, I just think Philly all around they're just gonna eat. Giants offensive line against that Philly defensive line is just a nightmare. Philly's D line is just unreal. You have again, I think Danny Dimes, he's looked better for sure. But outside of him, I'm a big Saquon guy, Penn State guy. So you key on Saquon, what do you have outside of him on that team right now? Nothing. There's who are you going to rely on? Richie James in the slot? It's just not going to happen. It's just, you're going to roll Kenny Golladay out there? Like, no thanks. I think Philly wins it, and I think it's a laugher. I agree.
All right, so we're all pretty much in agreement at this point as we are down to our final 4, which is in the AFC, the Cincinnati Bengals going to I guess neutral site Jones here?
Neutral site Jones.
The Bengals versus the Chiefs. Brett, what you got? I think this might be getting harder.
All right. This is where things happen.
Get ready.
Oh, brother. I am such a believer in Cincinnati right now. I can't even look at the screen. I'm sorry, Marcus. I just, man, they're tough. I think with T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, and don't forget about Tyler Boyd in the slot, and then again, Joe Mixon and P. Ryan coming out of that backfield. It's going to be tough for KC. It really is. Again, I understand it'll be at Arrowhead, right, for this one, because it's not going to be Buffalo,
Correct,
right?
Yeah, as long as it's not Buffalo. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, it is at Arrowhead. Okay,
Yeah. Oh man, I'm going to go Cincinnati. I'm just such a believer in them right now. It's nothing against Kansas City. I think they're a powerhouse. I really do. But I don't know. Cincinnati, they have that feel like Marcus said last year, they turned it on and look, they got to the Super Bowl, I don't know. I'm going to go Cincinnati. I think it'll be close. But I'm going to go Bengals.
All right, Marcus, I'm going to come back to you in a second. I can be very easily swayed on this, depending on your argument on this, but I do have somebody written down. I have the Bengals written down. only because of pretty much everything that Brett said, is that the Bengals have been scary good. I can be convinced based on what you say in the next minute or two to change my pick, but I will just say, if the Bengals end up beating the Chiefs convincingly, we really need to revisit this whole Mahomes is the greatest discussion, because we might have to start saying that he's not the best quarterback in the AFC if Burrow like takes him apart, like Brett is alluding could happen. If it's a 50-48 nail biter, by all means, the last guy with the ball ends up winning. And you think that Mahomes having the ball last is a key to victory. Again, I have the Bengals written down in pencil, but Marcus, sell me on your team.
The Cincinnati Bengals are a team that have whooped us 3 times now, in a calendar year. And there's no excuse for it. The first game that they took in the regular season, which really helped kickstart their run into the Super Bowl last season, the referees gave them that game. There was so many holding penalties, and they gave them about 8 opportunities with first and goal to score a touchdown in the last possession of the game. But that's one game. They smoked us in the playoffs when Pat Mahomes' spirit was separated from his body and his football ability. It happens. It happens to all the greats. But then they beat us this season. And there was no excuse for that. We got beat. And I got no respect. I got no sympathy for the Buffalo Bills. They have not done anything to earn my respect. They've done nothing to have my fear. There's levels to this game. They haven't gotten past the Chiefs. What makes people think they're going to get past the Chiefs and win the Super Bowl? The Cincinnati Bengals have gotten past the Kansas City Chiefs. We got to beat them. And it's kind of like, I hate this reference. Let me think of something else. Pat Mahomes, while he's collecting gems for his little gauntlet, his little Infinity Stone glove, there's a big one. There we go. There's a big one with Tiger Stripes. He got to beat them in the playoffs, and avenge some past mistakes.
Gotta get that Papa Mahomes gauntlet going.
There's no clear advantage. I think it's a very straight up football game. I think it comes down to coaching, which I've said the last 3 times we played them. And they had officiating help in the game last season. They had supernatural help in the second game, but this season, I mean, they just beat us in every area of the ball. Coaching, we just got to get it done. Simple as that. I don't think there's any key to victory or secret formula there. I think we're the better team when you include coaching. Again, I think Zach Taylor is a fraud, and the fact that he used to get coffee for Sean McVay, he was able to parlay that into an NFL head coaching gig and a Super Bowl appearance. We just got to get it done, man. That's all there is to it.
So who's your pick? The Chiefs?
Chiefs, baby. The Chiefs.
All right, just making sure.
Fool me once, shame on you. You fool me 3 times. You ain't gonna fool me a 4th time.
All right, so we're going to move over to the NFC. We all have the Niners visiting the Eagles in the NFC Championship. I'm going to start with Marcus, just so that...
Hold on. I have to switch course real quick here.
Oh.
I'm seeing a little breaking news, boys.
What happened?
Apparently, the WWE is sold to Saudi Arabia's public investment fund, and they are going back to being private.
Holy crap, scoopin' and boopin'.
Whoa.
I'm going to go play the lottery. Excuse me.
Whoa, and whoa.
Interesting. Well,
yeah. That's just, it's popping up the Twitter is blowing up. I looked down, I had some unread messages, and
What are you, Joe
yeah.
Sposto checking Twitter during a podcast? Come on now.
Dude, my phone's buzzing. You're lucky I have my phone on vibrate. It's been blowing up. Wow. So yeah, there's that. Interesting. I'm sure we all have our respective shows to talk about that. So all right. I guess we'll get back to football, right? I mean, listen, it's sports talk. Wrestling is the sport of kings, so I figured it was important to address that. Niners and Eagles.
Yes, Marcus, jump in here. Give Brett a
yes.
moment to contemplate his future.
Wow. I've talked about the 49ers defense and how they're going to dismantle Brady or whoever they play in the second round. However, when they had to play the Chiefs, they got exposed real quick. So I don't think their defense is like God tier. So I could see the Eagles and 49ers having a shootout, having a game in the 40s, both teams. If that happens, I like the Eagles. But if this game stays around league average, which is like 26 points, give me the Niners. Yeah, I just again, I feel like the Eagles I wouldn't say peaked early. It just feels like they don't have enough material to make it through a playoff run. But if it gets to a shootout and it's just like, yo, Jalen, go make it happen, I like their chances a lot better when the playbook's kind of thrown out. But I think officially give me the 49ers, but it's close. It's real close.
I do want to say I never officially declared with the AFC. I think I was thrown off by the Saudi blood money coming in. I am sticking with the Bungles. Just until the Chiefs can prove that they can get past the Bengals.
I respect it. I respect it.
I gotta stick with it. I don't want the Bengals to go to the Super Bowl. I do not want them to go to the Super Bowl. I want Cleveland/Ohio football fans to be miserable. And this flies in the face of my desires. So I'm rooting for the Chiefs, but I'm picking the Bengals. But I'm sorry, San Francisco, Philadelphia, Brett, go.
I think the clock strikes midnight on Brock Purdy here. Nothing against San Francisco. I think they're so insanely stacked on the offensive side of the ball. But as Marcus pointed out, you're going up against a legit offense now too. A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, I think they're just going to eat them alive. It sounds homerish of me, but I got to go Philly. And here's the thing too, you got to come to Philadelphia to play. That's a big difference. That crowd down there is insane, and I just think it's Philly's year for the NFC. So I'm going to go Philadelphia.
All right. So I think that if we have the Eagles at full strength versus the Niners at full strength, obviously with Purdy at quarterback, you're not going to bring back Garoppolo or anything, but, the Eagles are playing to the best of their ability versus the Niners at the best of their ability. I think the Eagles are a better team, and therefore I would say that they should win. If Hurts is somehow hurt and doesn't make it to let's say he gets hurt in the divisional round and can't play in the NFC Championship game, obviously the Niners are going to steamroll them. But I will say we can't put asterisks on our picks. I'm taking the Eagles. So,
all right.
For the Super Bowl, we all have the Eagles, correct? I mean, no, I don't mean, I'm sorry, not as like the victor. I'm saying we all have the Eagles specified coming out of the NFC.
I have the 49ers, but it's so close. I don't mind going Eagles for the sake of the discussion.
All right. Well, this is obviously we could have a lot of different combinations here. So this is hard because we are a house divided here. We're a porch divided on this. Myself and Brett are picking the Bengals coming out of the AFC versus the Chiefs from Marcus. And then we have the Eagles and the Niners. So, Brett, predict your Super Bowl. How about that? You are saying the Eagles and the Bengals. Gee, I wonder who you think is going to win.
You're going to be surprised, sir. I think if it comes down to it, Bengals, Eagles. I know they say, don't ever go against your team, blah, blah, blah. I think the Bengals, I really do. I'm so bought in on them right now. That hurts to say. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. They're impressing me so much, and Philly's got to get, they still got to get right. And obviously the big caveat is what hurts are you getting? I know he's still banged up, but and again, throughout the playoffs, we'll see how it goes. But, man, I believe in Jamar Chase. I love that dude. I think he is a stud. I think, you might be able to stop one of their wide receivers. You're not going to stop them both, which also same side of the coin, though, goes for Philly. I mean, I'll just go with my gut. I'll say Cincinnati.
Wow. All right. I respect the impartiality on that. Speaking of impartiality, Marcus, you have the Niners versus the Chiefs in your Super Bowl, correct?
I do.
So paint us a picture.
Even if it's the Eagles, Chiefs gonna put on a show in the Super Bowl. It might take a little while. First half might be a little quiet, but they'll figure it out in the second half. Give me the Chiefs over the Niners. 36 to. I'll be respectable. I'll give them garbage time points. I'll go 24.
For the record, if it was Chiefs Niners, I'm going Chiefs too. I agree.
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't have that selection. I either I think I went Bengals Eagles. I'm very confused now. If it was Chief Niners, yeah, I think the Chiefs would just like confuse the hell out of every single player on that Niners team. I think it would be a relatively easy Super Bowl win. It'd be one of those where they're dancing in the third quarter. If it was the Chiefs versus the Niners,
it'll be like Georgia TCU last night.
Exactly. But I predicted Bengals versus Eagles. I think it would be closer than that other scenario I just described, but I think the Bengals would just it'd be a racetrack out there. They'd be just running up and down the field on the Eagles because the Eagles aren't prepared to play after playing a year against NFC North teams or NFC East teams. Yep. They are not prepared for a team of the Bengals caliber, nor would they be prepared for the Chiefs. And I think the Bengals win. Very sad to say.
Yeah. The thing about the NFC this year is all the great quarterback play is in the AFC. And I think it's going to be a shock to whoever comes out of the NFC. I think we can probably safely say it's going to be one of the big three quarterbacks representing the AFC at minimum. And I think it's going to be a shock to the NFCs to see quarterback play of that caliber.
I mean, technically, to be fair, Kenny Pickett's not in the playoffs, so it's not all the big quarterbacks.
Big three, not little four.
Oh, yeah. All right. But yeah, I think it's interesting. We all have kind of similar pieces of the puzzles, because there's a lot of teams in the earlier rounds that are just kind of they're undercard guys. They're there to make the other teams look good.
Absolutely.
But yeah, any kind of final thoughts on the NFL season before we get into the playoffs and or anything?
No, man, it's just I love football. I could watch it all the time. So I mean, I say like my favorite sport overall is basketball, but when football's happening, man, it's just the best. It's been a fun year to be an Eagles fan. But yeah, man, I don't know. We'll have to run this back for a draft special, maybe.
Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, there's obviously myself and Marcus have award-winning MLB hot stove coverage, as everybody knows, some of our most listened to episodes. So, tune in for those. I would like to keep talking, but I feel like we all want to hit our phones and start making snarky tweets about, the WWE. So I'll just ask you guys, Brett, do you have anything to plug?
Listen, if you need a National League representative for Sports Talk, holler at your boy. A fan of the defending National League champion Philadelphia Phillies. Yeah, man. What do I have to plug? So obviously, I feel like us three are the biggest sports heads out of the soon-to-be named network for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, we all do our respective wrestling shows. I'm part of We Need Wrestling. With my co-host DJ. That's at We Need Wrestling on Twitter. We Need Wrestling.com. We Need Wrestling at gmail.com. I'm terrible at plugs. Right now we're starting off our Royal Rumble reviews with one of the co-hosts of the other show I'm on, and soon to be named network, Michelle, on Wings on Wings. So, I think we're watching 93 Rumble this week, which is going to be hilarious. Like I said, other show, Wings on Wings as well. We only have like 3 seasons left of that, but that's I don't know. If you follow me on Twitter, BrettXEdge570. I don't know. I just tweet about literally wrestling and sports because that's my life.
There you go. Well, that's not a bad life, sir. Marcus, what do you got?
You can give me tangentially a follow over at T&M Shows. That is with my man, Not the Tool Man, Tim Taylor. We do Final Wrestling Place right here on the soon-to-be-named network, where we take the nouns professional wrestling and we put them into either the good place or the bad place. And right now we're also doing a little bit of Royal Rumble seasoned coverage, but we're taking things from the Royal Rumble and putting them into a good place or bad place, so kind of like tropes. And you can also check me out on WWE War over at the North-South Connection with JT. We take a analytical inspired approach towards seasons of the WWE. So we start with the first pay-per-view after WrestleMania, and then we finish up the season with WrestleMania, and we consider that a season. And then also over on the North-South Connection with Not the Tool Man, we do Viewer's Choice. Almost forgot the name of the show, but we do Viewer's Choice, which is up pretty soon after all pay-per-views and premium live events for WWE and AEW. We just kind of give you a quick rundown and tell you what to watch and what to skip. And that's it for me.
Awesome. And you can follow Marcus on Twitter at the Wrestling Speakeasy. If you know, you know. Obviously, Porch Talk is normally hosted by myself and Mr. Todd Roker, but Todd is on assignment. He is on Adult Safari with Fig Daddy Cool this evening, so he was unable to attend this podcast. But you can also catch me on At Odds with Wrestling. Not only will we soon be starting the At Odds with Wrestling Royal Rumble opportunity, stay tuned for more details on that. Everybody loves a good opportunity. And Marcus, I'm coming for you. You robbed me last year. You robbed me. But also, we are currently in the midst, dare I say, like in the thick of it, with the gender neutral monarch of At Odds with Wrestling tournaments. A lot of heavy hitters in that tournament, potentially about to be eliminated. Some upset stories, Cinderella stories. It's got a little bit of everything. So obviously At Odds with Wrestling. And both of you gentlemen have, you're emotionally invested in this tournament, to say the least.
It's a very controversial tournament. Adam?
I don't know why I get this reputation. What do? I make a bracket and then people vote.
Mm-hmm. All right. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Your pick, you and DJ, you selected Max the Impaler. They're a great wrestler. They're a very scary wrestler. I put them against CPA, somebody equally scary, somebody equally physically imposing, and currently Max is losing. I don't know why that's my fault.
If only there was a hypothetical doll group that a certain CPA is associated with where the poll got posted.
Well, I will say,
just hypothetical. That's all. Hypothetical.
I just want to say, just in all fairness, I did not post anything in that group. Shawnee Caulfield did. Shawnee posted a direct link to the Double J versus Swoggle. That resulted in about 30 or so votes being cast in that poll. However, most of the other polls didn't really get any votes from that because nobody really looked at the other ones. If you look at the number of votes in the Swoggle versus Jeff Jarrett and compare it to the CPA versus Max, or like Boar against who's the Boar going against in the first round?
It
Big
honestly
Sue.
Doesn't even matter.
Big Sue.
Doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
that's a squisher. Like those other matchups didn't get the Shawnee Caulfield bump. So I respectfully would have to disagree with that. I am doing chicanery on the Double J one, but that is in response to Joe's chicanery with getting the My World podcast to retweet that. So
that was a fire back though. That's what that was.
I don't believe I disagree with you. But anyways, and obviously Marcus, to get you out of here, your guys' pick, you and Tim have Mandy. And Mandy is winning her opening round matchup against Rex Lawless.
Yeah, it looks like a tough battle of pectorals. Rex, he's a tough draw in the first round. But Mandy is making out okay. But yeah, it's 60 to 40% right now. So it's still pretty tight.
Yeah. And I'm glad as long as Mandy is in the gender neutral Monarch tournament, then I am allowed to continue to search for her on the internet because it is then considered show research, show prep.
Absolutely. Put your subscriptions on the soon to be named network company card.
It already is. Guys, it's been great. I had a lot of fun. I always have it in my mind that I'm like, oh man, this is going to go like a half hour. And I was like, I don't know how this could last like even an hour, but I didn't feel like nearly 2 hours. But thank you guys.
Yeah, of course, man. I love chopping it up with the boys over some sports. So this is awesome.
Yeah, let's do this again, and look forward to doing it.
Absolutely. All right, for Brett and Marcus, I'm Adam Van, and this has been Sportsch Talk. Have a good night.
You're listening to the soon-to-be-named network, the Lamborghini of Podcast Network.